Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at recruiting firm Riderflex. If you enjoyed today's guest interview, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to the Riderflex podcast. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Nick Mattingly on the Riderflex podcast. Nick, I love that hair, bro. I mean, come on, man. That's good stuff.
That's my COVID locks.
I saw some videos of you, earlier on, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I was doing my homework, of course, and looking stuff up on YouTube. And then I saw your LinkedIn profile pic, and I'm like, whoa. What's going on? What's going on with this hair here? It looks good, man. Did you seriously start growing that out at COVID?
We had twins almost 2 years ago. There'll be 2 in September, and I think the last time I had a haircut was right before they came into the world. So it's been a minute.
Wow. Okay. Did you have long hair when you were younger, like when you were a teenager?
I had a college phase where I let it go, but it wasn't quite like this.
Your wife likes it?
The kids love it. Yeah, she goes through blue hair and pink hair, and she's way cooler than me. So yeah,
gotcha.
She doesn't mind.
Speaking of cool, do you play the guitar? I see them in the background.
I used to. Yeah, it's they stay on the wall a lot now, but enjoy jamming. Yeah.
Were you in a band when you were a kid or a teenager?
But it's probably been 15 years ago. But yeah, we did a lot of original songs and did some like local regional travel and did a little EP, and I'm sure it's out there on the internet somewhere, but we tried to bury it. So
did you play lead, or what did you sing?
What was guitar and singer? It's called the Refills. Yeah.
The Refills. Oh my gosh. I love that. Okay. Well, I'll see if I can dig up like an old. You don't think there's a clip out there somewhere, do you? Like uploaded a video?
I'll see if I can find something for you. It's been a hot minute. We didn't even have YouTube back then. So
that's right. No, right. Yeah. That's cool. So you love music? You're a music guy?
Yeah. Always looking for new music. And there's this weird thing that happened in my brain. At some point I had a hard time really taking in a whole song at once. It's like I latch onto one piece of it, and that's what I'm hyper focused on. And I can pick up that part, and then I'll switch over to a different, just the drums, or just the bass, or I've got to really work to like hear the whole thing anymore. I don't know what I did there.
Interesting. Do you have a bunch of LPs? Like, does your collection, if you come to your house, is it cool? Do you have like a wall with?
I don't have a wall, but that's what's right behind me here is the record player.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
It is. Okay. Anybody that has guitars hanging on his wall with a record player, they're automatically cool, right? You just automatically have the cool factor. Plus, I was in music retail for a long time, so I didn't play, but I worked in music retail back when, remember when we had stores and you had to like go to a physical location to buy.
Oh yeah. We're based out of Louisville, Kentucky. We had Ear Ecstasy here. It was rated one of the top 10 record stores in the country. And then records kind of went away for a minute. It turned into a Panera afterwards. It was the saddest. But it's like a Foo Fighters would like did a show there. Like they would bring in artists.
Yes.
And actually, when I was in college, I had started working on a documentary on the Louisville music scene. I don't know that a lot of people know this, but before grunge blew up, Louisville was one of the bigger kind of underground music scenes. And there were a few bands that came out of our area that were really inspirational for other artists. And this like whole concept of math rock. There's a band called Slint that was really, really big internationally. And in the process of uncovering the story and really trying to get in front of some of the folks that were close to it, some of the members of Slint had started a new band called the Four Carnation, and they were playing a music festival in London. It was a 10-year All Tomorrow's Parties music festival, and they invited me to go with them. And I had never traveled internationally. I didn't have a passport. I got a passport in like 2 or 3 days, the week of Thanksgiving, we ended up calling a congressman. They got it expedited, and it was a wild, wild ride.
Wow. Now that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Were you thinking, I mean, was there a little bit of a thought like, hey, I want to be in music. I'm going to be in a band. Like this might be what I do for a living, or you never really thought? It was just like, I'm just going to have fun while I can.
For me, it was just something that was fun to do. Had another friend in our band that was not so happy that we weren't all in to like, that be the thing that we stuck with. Looking back, I kind of feel like, if there's anything that you pick to really go hard on, you can find a way to make it work. And in a lot of ways, I think that kind of parallels to what I've done with Switcher and the business that we've built is, I went all in, and we've been able to do some really incredible things, but still feels like we're just getting started. So that's a good thing.
Tell me about your personal life a little bit before we get into Switcher. I want to know about, so you grew up I'm guessing you grew up in Kentucky, obviously. Tell me about,
just we're outside of Louisville. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about mom, dad, siblings. Give me a little family history there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, both of my parents are educators. My mom did special needs. My dad ended up teaching the vocational school for electrical and engineering, but prior to that had his own business, did electrical and HVAC, and that was my summer job a lot of years. And I'd go out on job sites, and when I was smaller, I'd be the one that would go up in the attic or under the house or in the rafters.
So crawling under those homes. That's not a fun job.
So I've always joked I've been wired, but I kind of turned that into a bit of an AV business. And there was one summer I installed like 600 projectors in a few different schools and like businesses. So we're doing the screens and all the electrical and the overhead units that go with that.
How about that?
And it's all just been kind of stepping stones. In college, I got really involved with the campus radio station, and we changed the format from a classic rock station to an actual like college rock station, like indie rock, and built out the radio automation system, and did a lot of really cool things with that. Had a great group of people involved there. Was station manager for 2 years, and It was through that I started doing video and streaming. We set up a webcam. So
all that's kind of tied together. So I see how it all kind of comes together for you. Let me ask real quick though. Any siblings, brothers, sisters?
I've got 2 younger brothers.
Okay, all right. And what do they do for a living? Are they doctors, lawyers? Are they homeless? What's going on?
I've got one brother that started med school and then switched over to do agribusiness. And so he's been in insurance, and he's managing like hundreds of acres and you work in hay and has lambs. And they're building a big mum operation right now. Like they don't do anything halfway.
Wow.
So a lot different path, but he really enjoys it. And he's doing it at a pretty cool scale. And then I've got another brother, Ethan. He's a registered dietitian and works with the University of Louisville. He was with the University of Kentucky and their football team for a while. Cool. He did a lot of traveling with them, and now he's working more on the student side of things. So he's involved with that crew, helping kids out.
Now, were you the rebel wild brother? Were you the musician? I'm doing drugs. I'm playing in a band. I'm getting. Were you that guy?
I was the oldest, so I had to break all the rules. I think they had it a lot easier than me.
Was your family conservative, like Christian conservative, pretty like, like, hey, follow the rules, and you were the rebel? Or I just wondered if you got in any trouble, or were you somewhere in the middle?
I was the good kid. I did well in school and didn't go out partying too hard.
Okay.
Till a little bit later, I made up for it, but
okay. Very cool, man. Well, I appreciate you. And you're married, you said, so you got twins.
Yeah. So Whitney, we met in college and actually had a radio show together through Bellarmine Radio. It was called Word to Your Mother. We played a bunch of 90s songs.
Really?
So that was a lot of fun. And she's super creative. She actually worked in an agency and did work for video streaming and live projects with GE appliances and Kellogg's and Little Brownie Bakers. Like Girl Scouts has this huge mega event they do every year, and she was really involved in all the behind the scenes and kind of video stuff that went along with that. Wow. And then actually pulled her into our company, and she ran operations and helped really lay the foundation the first few years. And more recently, she stepped out and she started an art studio. And so she's very creative. She's a maker. She's got a laser engraver, and she can sew and paint. That does a little bit of everything. So it's been really cool.
Better? Do you find is it better that she's not involved daily with the business and you guys aren't? Is that healthier for your relationship? I'm curious there.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, Whitney and I are really great partners, and where I'm weak, she's strong. And I think, being in business together, there's a lot of that we really relished, and we build each other up. And when we talk about problems, we're solving problems because we're both in it, and we've got the context. That's definitely been a shift as she stepped out of the org. She's still involved, and we contract her from time to time because she knows everything, but we're also trying to protect her time because she's got her own things that she needs to prioritize and do for her. And so it's definitely been a shift. I do find myself kind of leaning on her and going back for a lot of that. So
okay.
There's a lot I really loved about it. I joke that Whitney was my first investor. She let me be crazy and not have a paycheck for 2 years so I could get started on this and figure it out.
And she was working. That's how you guys lived. That's how you made it.
Right. She was the one with the job.
Yeah. Right. How old did you say the twins were?
There'll be 2 in September. We've got 2 girls, Laurel and Arden.
Well, you had brothers. See, this is a whole new adventure for you now.
Yeah.
With the little girls. This is totally different. Is that the only kids you got?
Yeah, this is our first. So we got the 2-for-1 special, and we actually went camping this past weekend. I got a little like retro 1960s Scotty camper, and we went out to a really kid friendly spot. It's called Jellystone, and it's like Yogi Bear themed. They had a splash park and playgrounds, and we were trying to get them out in the world a little bit. And then it got real hot. We have a heat wave right now, so we came home a day early.
It's even been warm in Colorado, and usually Colorado summers are pretty mild. And we've got a joke around here. Bourbon is from Kentucky. Yes, of course. I'm a huge bourbon guy. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a big part of why it's so good is the weather is constantly changing. But there's this joke: if you don't like the weather, just stick around, because we've got every season within a week. It'll snow one day and then be 90 the next.
Speaking of bourbon and whiskeys being from Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky is the only place I ever flew into where when I checked into the hotel, there was a lady from one of the bourbon companies in the lobby handing you a free bourbon drink.
There you go. You haven't been back?
I was like, this is Kentucky right here. This is it. All the great bourbon comes from where you're at, my friend. Absolutely.
Yeah, there was one point early in my switcher journey, and someone asked, like, "Why are you in Louisville? You've got a tech company." Like, and I didn't mean this in a like weird way, but it's like it's where I'm at. Like, you can build something anywhere, and I think especially over the last 2 years, we look at what's happened in the change in the way people work. Companies that never would have let people work from home or never would have hired outside of their region, or there's just been so many changes, and we
no need to move. I mean,
I don't know. I've done a lot of traveling with Switcher. That's been a really cool part of it. Is I've got to see the world. I spent a lot of time in San Francisco and LA and New York. I've got a co-founder in Switzerland. We've got offices over there. Haven't been in a few years, but that was a part of my routine for a while. Going to try to get back to that.
Yeah, but
I love it here. Like it's a great spot. And family's really important to me. So I think we'll sit out a bit
everybody
longer.
else that lives in Kentucky is either in horses or bourbon, and except for you're the only tech guy there. I love you guys.
There's a few of us. We've got a club, but
You got any horses?
I don't. My dad's always had horses. He was big into draft horses, and it had a little buggy, and we'd get a plow just to have fun. It doesn't sound fun to me. But.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing some of that personal stuff with me. Thank you. Appreciate it. So walk me into the story. So I see how it all ties together. You were kind of techie / electrical / video / radio video. I mean, it was all kind of forming there. Even
always been kind of stumbling in this direction.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So what happened? You started doing gigs like kind of by yourself. You were hooking up things. You were doing stuff for people. So you had kind of your own little consulting thing. And then walk me into the transition a little bit and how.
I think I always knew I wanted to do my own thing. I think in some ways, like seeing my dad have his own business, there was just something about that stuck with me. I really thought I wanted to do design. And so when I went to university, I was, I'm going to make websites or magazines or, something really visual. I think when I was younger, I thought I'd be an animator, and then everything went from hand drawn to CG. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I really wanted this path of being a designer. And a big part of that was also understanding like how do people interact with those experiences, and how do you make things easily understood. But I also had this kind of business knack. And so I was also going on the business track, and I had a little bit of a choose my own journey, like, because I think I knew I wanted to do my own thing. I was like, I'm going to do what I need to do on the kind of MBA path and that side of things, when, take some accounting classes, but, hey, I'm going to take some music technology classes, and I'm going to do this design stuff. And, oh, here's a video class. I'm going to go check that out. And so I had a really interesting opportunity where I could kind of package those together in what I was doing through my schooling. Mm-hmm. And that's a small school in Louisville called Bellarmine University. But through that, YouTube was really early on. Live streaming had been a thing for a while, but most of the content you see would be like a NASA satellite launch or like a MLS team on the internet. And so it was really kind of gated to like really big enterprise or brands.
Because this is like 2010 for the listeners. You're talking what, 2010, 2012? Where are we talking? Somewhere?
Yeah, 2010. Yeah. Yep. Well, 2006 to 2010.
Yeah.
And so in that stretch, really saw video evolve and take a forefront in the way people were starting to consume content online. Mm-hmm. And as a creative person, like also took a lot of interest in like what's involved in that. And for me, video was this really cool medium where it's not just what you're pointing the camera at, it's the stories that are being told. It's, do you have good audio? Is the lighting right? How do you show different angles or perspectives? How do you collaborate with other people? You've got to do all this work ahead of time to plan and prepare. You have to edit. Sometimes it's just as important what you don't show as what you do. And I think just in getting to touch different parts of that process, a lot of it I had to learn on my own. It wasn't like there's a class you can take where you just get all of that. And so there's a lot of learning on the fly. There's a lot of failing, but there's also, I think just something about how I'm wired. I saw opportunities. So it was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. So coming out of university was also like in a weird time in the economy. They're hiring. I had a lot of friends that ended up going back to school. That was just kind of like the next natural path. And I wasn't interested in that. I was like, I want to go build something. And so before I even got out of school, one of my friends and I started an agency, and we were consulting with businesses and building websites and doing online video and trying to take a wag at that.
So
And
you were
through that
doing that.
process-
You and your buddy were doing that while you were still going to school. That was the Silver Sun LLC that I see on your LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Is that what
yeah.
that is?
We started out
Okay.
DJing like weddings and events and doing
Really
audio,
cool.
other
All right.
stuff, and then kind of pivoted toward like, we don't want to give up all of our weekends to be at some
Okay.
party on Saturday. And in that process of really supporting businesses, this really interesting thing happened where like you get close to a client, it's like their business becomes your business. You want to figure out how to make them successful. And what we heard from a lot of these groups was that video was important. They wanted to invest in it. They wanted to have that content, but what they were used to doing was spending $10,000, $20,000 on one video, put it on their website. 6 months later, it's out of date, and then they never did anything else. Or if they had something on YouTube, they didn't love that it had ads on it. They wanted something on their website, and so we saw an opportunity within that kind of arena, and partner with another technology provider where we could do video hosting. Like, let's get a video player on your website and let's help figure out how businesses can make content on their own. Like, what equipment do they need? How do we train them up? If they're not ready to do it, like, can we get a contract where their video crew?
You would film, shoot, produce a video, and host the data, all of it.
Yeah. And so the long play here was like video hosting, like that's a subscription. I don't have to, it's not tied to the hours in the day. This is really interesting, but that video has to exist in the first place. And so in this process, we saw a lot of businesses get excited. We want to do video. We want to do it more often. And then there were a lot of roadblocks. It's like, wow, this is expensive. This is complicated. We need to hire someone just to do this. And so like, while we've got this kind of long tail and bigger opportunity on the back end where they're making it, we're hosting it. There's a big gap between yes and them actually doing it. And so we're trying to get people to yes a lot sooner. That's really what I was trying to solve for. And a lot of the content we ended up creating, we moved from more of the like really heavily edited storytelling pieces to a little bit more like cookie cutter formats. So we found some opportunities in sports where we could, film games and make highlight reels and turn those around like same day. We found opportunities around events where we could do camera switches while the thing was happening and it's ready to go. We didn't have to do any editing after the fact. Ended up using a lot of other solutions in the market in this process. We started doing live streaming for some of our customers.
Like a basketball game or something like that.
There's a public TV station, TV Santa Barbara. We built out their website. We built out their video infrastructure. They had their own app on Apple TV, and like we helped package all of that together. But at the time, we're just an agency. We're putting in the hours. We're borrowing tech. We're helping people out. And I think at some point, I really just got frustrated that like people were so excited about this, and it was so hard. And in this process, I found an existing app on the App Store for iPhone and iPad. This is right around the time when they first put a camera in the iPad. Okay. And there was a product called Rico Live Multicam, and you could open the app on 4 different iPhones and iPads, see video from all of them at the same time, and hit one button, and they all started recording at the same time. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, people can afford these things. They're easy to use. And Dan, my business partner, was like, who would ever make video on an iPhone? This is like why Instagram exists. They're putting filters on your shitty phone pictures. But I was like, no, there's something to this. And so I reached out to the developer. Ended up being one guy in Switzerland. He had left his day job where he had been an executive. He had managed an R&D team of like 18 or 20 people. And he had decided to move on and specialize in video, and built this really cool project. Had some other projects he was working on, and talked about what we were doing, and asked what it might look like to have that product do live video. Could we get it streaming to the video player we provided?
Wow. Yeah.
6 months.
Great move. By the way. How did you get the guy's contact information? How did you track him down?
I forget. I don't know. There's the internet.
I mean, that's a great tip for the listeners. I mean, you saw something early that somebody had produced. It could tie into what you were doing, and you hunted the guy down
Yeah.
and talked to him. That's a great move. Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
even through our agency, when we would build websites and need something really specialized, or we were trying to do something different with video, like I could write some code, but I was not a developer. And so we had other people that we contracted and like in our network. And I kind of felt like the whole time I was at university, I was headhunting. It was like, I mean,
Yeah.
these guys weren't like my best friends, but we got to know each other. We got to work together. And I think if anything, that's probably my superpower is like finding people that are smarter than me, that can do things really well and bringing them together. And so we had a little bit of a Bellarmine mafia going on early on. It was a few other folks that we grabbed that I'd met over the years. You know, our Gabe, my friend out of Switzerland that we started working with. And we ended up with this proof of concept where we had an app where you could have four angles and you could stream on a video player we provided. And this was before Meerkat, before Periscope, before Facebook Live, before any of the free like social live video things were popping up. And our plan at the time was to really go to market with a complete solution. You have a great way of making video. We've got a way to host it and play it back so people can watch. And we started off with this idea of a joint venture. We're going to go in and we're going to market it and sell it and support it. And Gabe built this great product and we'll give feedback and improve it. And let's see what happens. Like as we sell it, we'll share in our success. Okay. And that wasn't something where you just snap your fingers like that. Those were some hard conversations, and there's a lot of negotiating, and you've got lawyers involved, and you're spinning up new LLCs, and like it was a journey. Like just having this concept, but then being able to structure in a way where we could commercialize it when we didn't really even own some of the core tech at the beginning. But still have the upside. We were able to package that in a way where we could have something that looked like a product in market that could really get people excited about. And we were charging a subscription from day one in 2014 when apps were free or maybe $1. We had people that were paying us $500 a year to use this like package solution.
Wow.
We're like, okay, there is something to this. So within the first 6 months, I stepped out of our agency. I talked to my wife. I said, I'm going all in on Switcher. And so we went 2 years bootstrapped and self-funded, had some other co-founders that helped in different ways, continued to work with our partner in Switzerland. And through that journey, we ended up ultimately repackaging all of that. And we spun up a new C Corp. We did Switcher Inc. We rolled up all the IP. We had built a lot of other supporting technology around this. We ended up being a launch partner for Facebook Live. So we had built some connections over the years, and new live video was coming before it was officially launched. And so day one, when they came out of the gate, we're the only mobile app they officially supported outside of making video from your phone. There were maybe 10 or 12 launch partners, and most of them were for enterprise or had a lot of equipment involved. And we were like this run and gun mobile multicam thing. And we actually made a really strategic decision to drop the video player. As we saw Facebook Live come out and Periscope that later got gobbled up by Twitter. YouTube had added live video. It was really a change that was happening in the marketplace where I didn't really feel like you could play in the middle. Like if we were going to offer a video player and not be an enterprise solution, there's enough free solutions and social platforms where audiences already are, where there's a tremendous amount of reach. If we can be the best way of making live video and make that really easy and let you do it from your phone, let's be Switzerland when it comes to where that content goes. Let's make it really easy to plug in other places. And so we really started to focus on the front end of how video gets made, that creation part of the process, and then building the right partners to be able to make it easy to get that content where people wanted it to be. And so that led with our Facebook launch partner status. We later added our own YouTube integration. We're one of 5 preferred partners for LinkedIn Live. So if you want to do live video on LinkedIn, Switcher's in the short list. You can download our app, you can link your account, and do it all from your phone.
Cool. Very nice. Now's probably a good time. Let's do this. And then I want to go back and ask some questions about how you set up the C Corp and co-founders and everything. But for the listeners, can you give the Switcher Studio 3-minute elevator pitch as it stands today? If the listener hasn't heard of it, hasn't used it, give us Switcher Studio. Go for it.
Yeah. Ooh, it's starting to change. That's the tricky part. So Switcher is a video creativity platform. It's a way of making better video more often using hardware you already have, like iPhones and iPads. Okay. And it really allows you to go beyond your webcam or your phone where it's single camera point and shoot. You know, if you're making video for yourself or for your business, you want it to be branded. You can have your logo on screen. From your phone, you could put someone's name or switch from the camera to a photo, a video. You're really starting to bring the audience in by making these decisions where you edit while you shoot. And the thing that's really special about Switcher is that you can open the app on another iPhone or iPad to get another angle and show a different perspective wirelessly. At the same time, you can even share a link and bring in a guest. So, you know, how we're having this conversation over almost at Skype, Zoom. We have our own solution where you can have a conversation or interview with someone that's in a different location. And we've been able to package this in a way where it's really easy to use. You can share your video anywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, you can multi-stream and have it on all of those platforms at the same time.
So can I just take a pause right there? I'm going to lower this down to commoner / my language. I'm not going to use the right
Absolutely.
verb.
Yeah. Help me out.
But, so if I go to the mountains in Colorado and I want to film myself in the Jeep on a trail, I could put a camera up the trail just a bit, a camera on the dash in my Jeep, and maybe another camera off to the side, and all three I can record all three at the same time and switch views all at the same time. And if I have internet connection, it could all be live streamed through Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn all at the same time.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay. And nobody else can do that.
iPhones and iPads. No special hardware. And then, you know, all you need is a Switcher subscription. Starts at $50 a month.
$50 a month. Is that per user, per
user? So you've got one device that you choose to enter the studio or kind of direct and run everything from. Using another iPhone or iPad as a camera is no cost. You could grab a stranger off the street, have them download Switcher, and they could be a camera in your production. And they don't need an account. They don't need to do anything. If you were to bring in a guest.
My immediate thought, go ahead. Yeah.
If you were to bring in a guest, they just click a link. They don't have to install an app. They can use it on their Mac, their computer, Android. Having someone else join you is very, very simple. And one tap and they can be a part of your production.
You know what my immediate thought is? Tell me if I'm off base here, but so I subscribe to a lot of YouTube people who have their own channels specifically because I'm a Jeep guy, and so a lot of these overlanding guys, they all have like their own channel, right? And I can just see how it's like, okay, they're in their little Jeep and they stop, they get out, they walk up the road, they put their camera down, then they go back to the Jeep, and then they drive and they get the shot, and then they get out, they get the camera again, and then they take their other camera. I'm just thinking to myself, wow, this could save a lot of editing time. It could save a lot of time
that's the trick is you're capturing life in the moment. Like as these things are unfolding, you're able to make those decisions, and you don't have to edit. You don't have to watch it render. You don't have to export. It's already where you want it to be, and you've got it saved on your device too. So if you want to play with it and do more, you can. More recently, we added our own clip feature, so you could take a video made with Switcher, and you could choose a segment, and you can put a logo on screen or text. You can do speech to text, and you can share that clip back out. We have an update coming out next week You can share that to Facebook Reels, Instagram feed. It's a 2-tap experience. You can pull out a clip from Switcher and share it immediately to Reels and Stories.
I keep hearing you say easy and fast, and those are 2 big words when it comes to shooting video that I myself, like, that's what I care about, because the uploading, the rendering, the editing, like all of that is a pain in the ass. And so anything that makes all that easier, especially getting different shots from different angles and being able to upload all at one time.
Yeah. And we lived it. We were trying to solve our own problem.
Yeah, right. I guess so, right?
Problem.
Yeah. Yeah. You were solving your own, really, right? That you were solving your own problems and ended up creating a SaaS product, right? Because I guess that's what it really is, you know. And it's, by the way, for investors, it's recurring revenue. It's a subscription model, which is all super attractive, right? I'm guessing that wasn't really, you weren't thinking, I'm going to build a SaaS tech company. You were probably just thinking, man, I got to make this shit easier for myself. And then it just kind of came along.
Yeah. I mean, it really started on the nerdy side of things. It was like,
yeah,
let's find a better way. Like what needs to exist to solve this problem. And then let's figure it out. And we did end up talking to a lot of customers at that time, and especially as we brought in early customers, you know, that was something that was really important for us. I think as we got further along, we had a lot of internal problems to solve, and we got a little more distance from our customer, and we felt some of that. But we've since been able to build this incredible community. We've got an on Facebook group, probably 20,000 people that are posting videos, asking questions, helping one another.
Helping you because they're giving you feedback, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've got many, many more people that have used the product and touched it in some way that aren't in that group, but to see the ripple effect of, like, not only have we built this really cool thing, but it's having a profound impact on other people's lives and the work that they do. And it even extends beyond that. Like, the content they're creating, the people that watch it come to expect it. Like when it does, you know, if we've got a church that does a stream every Sunday and they miss a week, people are like, where are you at? We've got people that are using it for their podcasts. We've news channels, theater, education. I mean, we didn't put it in a box. And so we've got this really flexible tool that's being used in a lot of different ways. Sports is a big category for us.
Is it protected? Is it patented? Is it I mean, you got all this. Is this? Yeah. Is it? Okay, go ahead.
We've got trademarks. I think what we've done with Switcher, as far as multicam wireless video from your iPhone and iPad, we were first in market for bringing that solution out. We've inspired some others, and there are alternatives, but I think we have a very different approach that's not necessarily trying to chase the professional video world and all the things that you can do, you know, with a big expensive camera or with, you know, big editing workflows. We're really trying to bring this down where it's accessible, where someone that hasn't made video before can pick it up and figure it out. And I think this is the thing I'm really excited about as we look ahead, is how this product will start to evolve. We have just launched a new offering called Carter, and it's an app in the Shopify app store you can install on your store, and you can select products or collections that you might sell on your website via Shopify.
Okay.
And they will show up inside of the Switcher app. So if you're making a video with Switcher, you can show your products on the screen. And with our Carter solution, you can stream on Facebook Live, and we have a chat bot that will actually direct people to check out on your website. So if you're selling on Shopify, you can use Switcher and Carter together to talk about products, feature them on screen, and people can comment on that video, and they will get a link to buy directly from your website. And so as we look at how this evolves, I think the role that video will play in how products and services get sold in this whole world of video commerce is coming. You know,
couldn't agree more.
Other markets that are way ahead of us. You look at what's happening in Asia, and 20% of all e-commerce is happening through video. That's not happening here. And I think there's a real opportunity for us to be a part of that story, to help shape what it looks like And I'm so excited about this new product to be able to lead with an example of what that could look like.
Speaking of filming your own products that you're trying to sell on like Shopify, can you do that with the videos for products on Amazon as well? Is that
So what we've brought to market with our Carter solution requires Shopify and Facebook Live. It is limited to those two platforms.
okay?
But with Switcher, you can multi-stream. So you could have that video on YouTube, Facebook, Amazon Live. You can have it on other platforms.
I see.
It's just we haven't solved for how do you interact with the video to be able to actually check out.
Okay.
Yeah, Amazon Live does have their own solution. Like from Amazon, you can pick products and you can show those on top of the video. And that video can come from your webcam, or it can come from most other solutions on the market. So there are ways that you can use Switcher and Amazon Live together. It's more of a workflow. It's not an integrated supported solution. And that's something that we're working toward, is like, how can we make these experiences shoppable in a way where you can meet your audience where they are, and they can always buy, and they can buy from you as a merchant from your website. You're not giving up your first party data. You're not losing out a big cut to the discovery platform or ecosystem that's happening in. We really want to put the control in the hands of our customers. Use the platforms and tools you have and meet your audience where they are.
I love it. By the way, it's switcherstudio.com. switcherstudio.com. And Nick Mattingly, also, you can connect with him on LinkedIn. He's on LinkedIn, and he's got YouTube video. He's all over the place. He's all over the place. And you can, Switcher Studio Facebook, you said you had 20,000 followers. So you can follow all their social media. I totally agree with the video shopping and experience. I mean, I look for video everywhere I go. I mean, if I go to a website for a company, I just want a video to tell me what the company does. I don't want to have to read anything. If I go to a product on Amazon, I just want to look at the video. I don't want to
tell me how it works. Yeah.
Just tell me how it works. Like I always, now I have friends that are, I want to read it. I'm like, well, I don't. I just want to see the video. So
it's a yes and. I think you got to do both.
Just show me the video, man. I want to be able to click on the video for almost everything I do, whether it's a product, whether it's a person, whether it's a website. I want to be able to, and sometimes I just want to be able to listen to it. I mean, the video is great, but sometimes I just want somebody to tell me what it does,
Yeah.
Because I'm walking or I'm driving or whatever. But okay, so I love what you guys are doing. Are you set up now? Is it you and talk to me about ownership? Is it you, the co-founder in Switzerland? Have you taken on cash? Do you have investors? What's going on with the company setup?
So in 2016, we restructured the company so that we could take on venture capital. We'd gone 2 years, bootstrap, self-funded, had some revenue, had customers, had this Facebook Live launch status, launch partner status. We were able to do a lot of really incredible things on our own. And that was really a tipping point for like, we've got something special here. Let's scale it.
Yeah.
And so in that we needed to change some things about how we had the business package so that we could be investable. And one step that we took was to incorporate. That also meant that we had to recap the company. I had founders that were partners in an LLC. We had pretty even splits in ownership. That's not necessarily compatible with a venture-backed model and kind of that path that you go on. So that was a really big challenge. Again, some really uncomfortable conversations.
So let's take a pause right there for the listeners, especially for the aspiring entrepreneurs that may not know how this works.
I had five co-founders. There were five of us that were co-founders initially. This wasn't the Nick show.
All right. So in layman's terms, you had five people that all had similar ownership, and you guys were like, "Hey, man, we're going to take on some VC money," and then everybody got diluted. And then there's okay.
And these are people that have been doing a whole lot of work for no pay. They work their day job, and they would pick up at 7:00 at night and work till 1 a.m. And I'm always on because I'm working on Switcher during the day, and then I'm available when they're available. It wasn't sustainable. Part of this is outsourcing yourself and getting help. And so in doing that, I had a few partners that kind of put things on pause for a minute. They're like,
I understand.
but we want this to be successful, and we understand why we're doing this, and we fully support the decision. And within a few years, I was able to bring all of them back in the fold. And so
Nice.
everyone that was a co-founder of Switcher is here today.
Really?
We're all in
Wow.
different
Okay,
roles, but we've been able to
Wow.
bring in some great leaders and people that have done incredible things in their own careers to learn from. And we've taken this from 5 co-founders, bootstrap, self-funded, to we're over 50 employees now. We've got customers in 115 countries. We're seeing really good numbers. COVID was a blessing for Switcher, as hard as it was for a lot of other businesses. We were on the other side of that. We had a video communication platform, a way to keep people connected.
Yes.
And we've learned a lot in this process. So really looking to democratize the way video gets made and change the way that people think about how content gets created.
I've heard so many good and bad stories about taking on cash, right? We've had a shit ton of entrepreneurs on the Riderflex podcast, and I know a bunch of business owners personally. And, sometimes I'll sit down with a guy and he'll be like, oh my God, I signed up with the devil and I took their cash and it's horrible. And then other times, I talk to people that took on cash from great partners and they scaled and exited and made a lot of money and everybody's happy. I've heard both. Have you taken cash just from one VC? Did you take from several? Is it, I don't know how much you want to share, and how much have you taken? How much cash have you taken? I don't know how much you want to share.
We have raised capital. We started with a convertible note.
Okay.
So we didn't fully price around and put them on our cap table from day one. We wanted to give ourselves some runway to set out some milestones and KPIs. Good. And say, if we make this possible, this is the valuation we would expect.
Nice.
And in doing that, we were able to really lift the valuation that we would have gotten had we taken cash, day one when we had made that decision.
Good move.
We were also really selective in who we brought in, and the lead investor for that initial capital. He led mergers and acquisitions for Nextel, was involved in the Sprint Nextel merger, has been on the board for companies backed by Sequoia, and acquired by Salesforce. So we brought in a sophisticated investor that had their own network, that understood SaaS businesses, other supporting parties, and even angel investors, and friends and family kind of packaged in that. But we didn't take all of our capital all at once. We did it in stages. So through the convertible note, we brought in $400,000 on our first close. It gave us a great amount of runway. We were able to invest in creating new roles and having a support team. We wanted to be able to help our customers. We were able to invest in marketing and grow. And in doing that, that same batch of investors came back and put more money in the company when we did things that we said we were going to do.
How about that?
We've always been we've operated this like a business and have been very revenue focused. And so we've been able to rely on actual customers as investors. They're paying for the product. We're able to put those dollars back into the work that we're doing. And we've officially done a Series Seed. So we did a third close, where we moved forward the convertible note. We priced around, we brought in new investors. We've only raised $3.4 million in the history of the company.
Only? What do you mean? That's a good number.
I think when I look at the stage of our business, the amount of cash that we have on hand is more than we've raised. That's because we have customers and we're growing our base.
So you're not burning cash. You're not in a scale/burn cash mode anymore. You're actually profitable.
We go back and forth. So we've had 2 years profitable. We've been able to pad our reserves a little bit.
Nice.
But we're aggressively investing right now. We are really looking to build out the team and looking to build out new products. And there's probably a version of this where we raise more capital in the future. But right now we're really focused on building an awesome product and delighting customers and figuring out the right business model.
Have you enjoyed transitioning and growing and learning as a CEO from, hey, I know how to hook up this camera to make sure this shot's good, all the way to now I'm structuring this next round and cap tables and equity, and that's a major transition, and you've had to learn that, right? Have you enjoyed that? Or does messing with the investors and the cap table, like, oh Jesus Christ, I don't want to do that. I want to.
I think for me, everything is a learning experience, and I think something I'm really drawn to is solving problems.
Okay.
And so when there's something new and it's big and fuzzy, like I embellish that, and I want to get in there and I want to learn, but I want to surround myself with people that I can learn from. And that's a big part of, I think, how we've had the success we've had to date. I brought in a COO at the end of last year.
An outsider, like a new person that nobody on the team knew.
Yeah. Ooh. And it's been incredible. They're an amazing partner. They really understand the e-commerce space, which is a really important category for us as we look forward. Really great people manager. I mean, we're in such a, we're making decisions more quickly. We're doing big things, and I'm learning a lot in the process as well. And
now that's another good pause moment for the listeners, especially young entrepreneurs. What I hear you saying, Nick, is, hey, look, I've got this thing big enough now, and I'm up here as the CEO, like it or not, dealing with, investors and board meetings and raising cash, and I'm the face of the company. I needed now an quote operator for the day-to-day tactical execution. And so you brought in a COO, probably right at the right time.
I think part of what I ran into is, in this moment of growth, I really wanted to do a reset on how much of the original vision and strategy is still true. How much has the world changed? If we did not exist in the world, what are the things that are going to happen? And if we were to play a part in making those happen, what might that look like? And the really cool thing that happened in that process was there's a lot about what we set out to do from the beginning that we had made happen, and that I still felt like we had a lot of work to do that was important and didn't need to change. Okay. But the other thing I saw was that the success that we've had in worship and sports and news and podcasting and these other categories wasn't growing as quickly as we would like. And there are other solutions in the market, and it's getting more competitive. And it's not that it's not important or that we can't be successful in those categories, but how do we really unlock the most value for this thing that we've built, and what's missing? And in that process, from the very beginning, when we started Switcher, so much of this was wrapped up in helping others be successful. How do we help businesses make better video more often? And this whole time we've been really selling against a behavior that doesn't exist. They still haven't really taken ownership of that. There's this huge spectrum of, let's pull out our phone and make a video on Instagram so we can check the box, or let's pay an agency to do it for us. And this thing that we've set out to solve still hasn't happened because the world wasn't ready. But what's happened in the last 18 to 24 months, like people are on Zoom calls every day. They got employees that are wearing multiple hats and helping in different ways. If they weren't selling online, they are now. They figured out curbside pickup and online selling and distribution. Like there's this perfect storm where a lot of these things have started to align. And it really brought me back to the very beginning of, we need to get close to our customer. We need to learn from them again. And so the big change that happened here was SMB is an important category for us. Yeah, selling through video is something we need to solve for. Huge. And we don't have all the answers. We need to talk to them. We need to learn from them. We need to prioritize this. We need to get more people in our company with e-com DNA at every level. And we need to go figure out what's missing. What's the workflow that's needed? And having a COO allows you to concentrate on that strategy and that vision and those types of things. So this is where I really struggled. Is for me, it became really clear that this is what needs to happen, and this is where we're going. And I had buy-in at the board level. I'd been really leaning into our leadership team and saying, this is what we're doing, but it hadn't really trickled down. You didn't see it play out in how we're talking in market or the work that the rest of the team was doing. And it's a really, not that it's a pivot, like we're standing up a new vertical, we're investing in a new area. We're not forgetting about our product or our current customers. They're still important. But culturally, like there's a lot of there's a lot of feelings around that, and there's a lot to navigate, and there's change in role. And some people really see themselves in the work that's being done, and some people, their job doesn't change because the work they're doing is important, and they need to do that so that we can focus on the new things we're building. And so there was just a lot of things that I was dealing with for the first time, as a founder, growing a company. And I think it was actually through a recommendation of my board that we consider a search for a COO.
I see.
And it's made a world of difference to have someone that's been there and done it, that's seen this and even beyond, where we're going to go next, and really help us operationalize the vision and strategy and really move toward those goals.
Is your buddy that was doing the LLC with you right out of college, is he one of the 5, and is he still involved?
He was one of the co-founders, and he is on the support team, and he's doing a lot of our product education and working with some of our high profile customers when they come through as well to make sure they get what they need.
How about that? I'm really impressed with the fact that you have raised over $3 million. You're still the CEO, the investors in the board, they haven't pushed you out or anything. They've said they believe in you. They've left you in charge. They gave you the cash, and you were able to go back and get all of those 5 original founders. And the fact that all those people are still involved really speaks to your people skills, your leadership skills, your communication. That takes a lot of work. For the listeners that don't understand, just let that sink in for a minute. 5 original founders after 5-something years, and taking on cash and being diluted and all these other things that have to take place. And everybody is still together working. I mean, that's Nick, that's pretty big. Congratulations. That's huge, man.
Yeah.
Really
I think I'm really proud of the team that we've built, and
it's nice.
It's
very
still
nice.
having fun. So
I know we're out of time. Last question. I could keep you on the phone longer, but we're bumped up against our hour here. I just want to ask you one final question. What is Nick's, aside from your wife and your 2 little girls now? So let's set the twins aside for a second. What is Nick's core purpose in life moving forward? If you had to put it into a sentence, you think?
Oof. This is really hard. I mean, in a lot of ways, Switcher is a huge part of my identity.
Yeah.
And I've poured a lot into it. And there, people talk about work-life balance. When you're doing something like this, that is not a word that's in my vocabulary. Like it is fused. It's really, you've got to make time for things outside of that. And you've got to prioritize family and yourself and your health. And I mean, there are so many other things that aren't this thing that you created. And if anything, I think I really want to bring more balance for me. But I also want to build something great. I want to do something
that's tough to do. Building something great with a balance in life. That is a hard goal.
I think part of building something great, it's not just the product, like the people that work here. I really believe they love it. And we're really investing in the team and the culture.
Good.
And I don't know. I think if anything, I'm at my best when I'm learning from others. And so getting other perspectives and challenging one another and having the tough conversations, like those are the things that help you get to the best possible solution. And so if anything, no matter what you are doing, or when I think about what I do next in life, it's lean in. Like, if it feels like a hard problem, it's because it probably is, and it's not going to solve itself. So go do it.
Nick, thank you so much for being on the Riderflex podcast and sharing your story. I really appreciate it, sir.
Absolutely. Enjoyed my time as well. Take care.